Mpumalanga. I'm the chairperson of GMM Joint Civil Movement. I'm with my master clerk here, Vusi Sibego, master clerk administrator. We have our master finance administrator, Tulani Mahlangu. We have our executive councillor, Castro Chanjekwayo. Our second executive councillor, Mandla Ntlabati, and our ward committee leader, Mandla Mapela. We would like to thank everyone for coming. Today, we are here in the briefing of the media in connection with our movement and the statute of children. Roughly, the briefing will take an hour. So in that hour, I think everything will be addressed accordingly. And then secondly, we would like to make apologies for the media houses who are not available. Rich Times, Sifiso Matebula was supposed to be with us. Unfortunately, he has a family commitment. And then Kasitukasi Muzwandi Lekava was supposed to be with us. Then he sent an apology. He has other commitments in Secunda. At the current stage and current moment, I would like to introduce my master clerk administrator, who will do the introduction and the presentation for today's media briefing. Vusi Sibego.
Director, good day to the whole house. Very applaud for your presence today to cover what we have actually stand regarding how our municipality is actually administrated, where we find quite a lot of irregularities that we believe need to be addressed, where a stand needs to be taken by the collective communities within Govan Mbeki Municipality. Prior to entering to today's presentation, actually we would just like to introduce ourselves a bit as to who we are and what we stand for. Well, Govan Mbeki Joint Civil Movement, it's a platform that was founded around January 2020 by various community civil movements in partnership with community activists, where we once had a session somewhere mid of March with the Department of Social Development, where we wanted to unite and come up with a platform that can actually advocate interest of the public in all sectors of community needs, so to bring about change in our environments, basically. Towards the city, that's where we had to halt most of our activities due to the pandemic that we are currently facing as a country, of which it's COVID-19. So since COVID-19 took place, we had to halt our activities and adhere to the rules as outlined on the Disaster Management Act. So each and every one of us had to be at home, where in terms of complying with the requirements, adhering to social distancing, adhering to self-isolation. But then it had to happen that we got to be invaded, if I may put it like that. Yeah. Invaded by what we'd call a municipality, because I can't even say we do have a municipality. In terms of basic needs of our communities, where we had to constantly suffer a number of unconstitutional service deliveries rendered to us as communities, inclusive of the issue of electricity that is occurring constantly, where we had to individually challenge or find answers concerning that. Only to find we were to receive mixed answers, where there's no directive as to what is the main cause of this electricity crisis that we are currently facing as communities of Govan Mbeki Municipality. The issue of solid waste removal is also an issue that we see persisting, and also where we can't find answers as to why garbage is not removed in our areas of living. So as we are seated, that's where we had to communicate as civil societies and as community activists. Do we find this kind of service being properly done or being properly rendered to us as communities? That's where we had to stand up and say, no, since we were at a high position, but now due to the crisis that we are facing, let us stand up and also challenge this municipality in a way that it can actually render services that can benefit the entire community of Govan Mbeki Municipality. That's where we had to unite, and in a way that we ended up coming up with, I could say, a letter of demand that was submitted on the 1st of June 2020 with the attention to the Executive Mayor, the Mayoral Committee, and the entire Council of Govan Mbeki Municipality, where as the movement we are demanding the end of unscrupulous municipal service delivery to the greater citizens of Govan Mbeki Municipality, because what we are saying is unconstitutional is due to what we have identified in the Constitution of South Africa, as from Chapter 7 of the Constitution of South Africa, where it puts clearly that the municipalities have the responsibility to render quality and substantial services to communities. And also it also got to be justified also by the Municipal Systems Act, where it also articulates clearly that the municipalities still have that responsibility to take whenever they run such services. So that's where we had to look at how our municipality is actually performing and how it's actually rendering service towards communities at large. That's where we had to identify with our municipalities no longer functioning or operating in line with Chapter 7 of our Constitution and also in line with the Municipal Systems Act. That's where now we had to stand and send this memo of demand, where we gave them 3 options to adhere to within 7 days of submitting the memo. The first option that we gave them, because we know there's a lot of chanting that is happening at council, where there is a lot of, how can we put it properly? Cause. They fight amongst each other in terms of position seeking and so forth. So we said on this letter forwarded to all parties concerned, we said, okay, continue doing such, but do not hamper service delivery to the greater communities of Govan Mbeki Municipality. That's the first option that we gave. The second option that we provided with it, let them involve us as communities to find the problems that this municipality is challenged or is facing, so we can come up with a collective solution as community and inclusive of council and the administration. So to ensure that this municipality becomes an institution that can benefit communities of Govan Mbeki Municipality. That was the second option that we provided. The third option that we provided, which if they can consider it too, it will be better for them to actually step down and hand over the municipality to its original owners. So through that, 7 days passed without any feedback from the municipality, without any consideration of any of the 3 items, because these items are not items that we thought of. Aside are items that we saw being presented properly on our Municipal Systems Act. Because the Municipal Systems Act put it clearly that communities need to be prioritized, and communities need to participate and provide direction as to how a municipality needs to function. Because the main purpose of the municipality is to ensure that the communities within that area receive the correct municipal services accordingly so. So you can't render correct municipal services without the inclusive of communities. So through what we have said, that's where we saw what they never considered our demand. That's where as civil movement had to stand up and challenge them forcefully so. Because we gave them options, they failed to take either one of the two, so it's upon us as civil society to take action now in forcing this municipality to consider our requirements or our requests, because we are enough of receiving such services that have now became a danger to society, where we found people dying due to electrical issues, where we find even officials of the municipality getting burned by this supply of electricity and so forth. We look at our town is way too big, in a way that we can't even know as to how this matter is going to be addressed. So that's how we actually took a stand to challenge this municipality in a way of demanding the entire municipality to be placed under administration. So for that to happen, we came up with a campaign or a program, basically, that can assure what we seek is something that can be achievable, with guidelines and guidance from pieces of legislation that we have in our country, namely within our province of Mpumalanga. Concerning the program, I will just read it out so everybody can be helpful or enough info concerning it. So our project title is namely specify that we are raising consciousness to the greater communities of Govan Mbeki Local Municipality regarding the campaign we took as Govan Mbeki Municipality Joint Civil Movement in the request for placing Govan Mbeki Local Municipality under administration. So our project duration phase is a project that will actually begin, or it's actually begun as from on the 1st of June 2020, and the expected time to achieve our objective would be around September 2020. And since I said we started around June, that's where we had to submit this memo, which was never responded to. And we also submitted a prior request as advocated by the Commission to Access to Information Act of 2000. With this one, we sent it on the 4th of June to the Deputy Information Officer, of which is our municipal manager, where we requested to be provided with records pertaining to the municipal service agreements. Because as we know, Municipal Systems Act allows the municipality to have agreements with service providers, and they are categorized into 3 groups. That would be a municipal service partnership, a service contracts, a municipal service partnership, a malice contracts, municipal service partnership, a concession contracts. This one was handed over to the office of the MM, of which was never responded to. But with regard to this issue, we have already referred it to the Department of the Human Rights Commission. It's in the hands of Human Rights Commission because clearly they failed to adhere to this particular act, and we've also taken a step to refer it to the court so it can take action against what we've seen as being non-compliant of the Office of the Municipal Manager. So this is to show as to how we've actually started this project, and also what we need now as a movement. As a movement now, we will firstly describe the problem statement. The problem statement put it clearly that the Govan Mbeki Local Municipality, it's very clear that the municipality has no adherence or obligation towards upholding Chapter 7 of our country's constitution and working in accordance to the Municipal Systems Act for the greater communities who receives unscrupulous and corrupt and unconstitutional municipal services, where constant suffering, abuse, and litigation tends to become a daily norm. Because even now, as we're speaking, our fellow leader here has how many days? Approximately 3 days without electricity. He doesn't receive any feedback concerning as to when will he be able to access electricity, so to further or improve the situation at home. So you see now, no communication whatsoever that is planned. It's been done by the municipality. We don't know as to how this municipality is standing at basically. So that is why we are saying we are challenging it, and for challenging it properly, it will require those who will be in support of our nation to form part and exercise the right of choice. That is a right of which is protected even under our constitution, where we are demanding a choice, where we are demanding a better municipality, a municipality that will be an institution to benefit all within Govan Mbeki municipality. So our project goal is for communities of Govan Mbeki municipality to take a stand and unite and take ownership of this institution from the hands of those that we have identified as terrorists. We are calling them terrorists because when you exercise activities without consideration of the constitution of the country, you become unconstitutional. Being unconstitutional, it means you are a terrorist. That is why we stand firm in calling them terrorists, because it's clear that there is no adherence at all. Because when you look at how our state of municipalities act, it clearly shows there's too much frustration from communities. We saw a number of strikes happening, banning of the limited infrastructure that we have due to frustration of community members across Govan Mbeki. So it's enough. Enough is enough. We can't be chanting, we can't be striking. For those who once became forces when we took over this country, for those whom we've realized democracy with, then after at this kind of state, in 25 years of democratic dispensation, we have to also stand up and go and chant and strike against a person who took a position of responsibility and turn it to become a position where they normally consider themselves as powerful. There's nobody who's powerful at the municipality. You can't be powerful through my through my deployment, basically. Can't be powerful through my expense. So that's the tendency that they normally do. They forget that we've placed them there, we've voted them there, namely for a responsibility. But now, whenever they sit there, they tend to think that they are powerful in a way that they can drive this municipality in any format that they wish. They tend to victimize the very same community. Even the crisis that we are facing here, they are blaming the society. You can't blame communities for that, because, as we are still repeating, it's a responsibility of the municipality to render quality services to communities. And it put it clearly also in the Municipal Systems Act that communities are not accountable for service delivery in our areas. It's the municipality. Now they come with their, how can I put it, cheap statements, where they say we are in this crisis because communities are not paying up for services, are not buying electricity, they are stealing electricity. That's what they normally preach. So now, have they ever discovered what was the cause? Do they know the cause of this non-compliance as they are putting it? What is the cause of that? Because to us, we know very well that the municipality has the responsibility if it means people are not paying up services. Therefore, it means people are not earning enough income. And it is the responsibility of the municipality to promote social and economic development towards a community. So now, when you hear their articulations, that's where you can find this cheap statement where they are taking the responsibility towards the community. They forgot to we voted them to those positions of responsibility. They came campaigning, informing us that if you vote for, let's say I'll make an example, if you vote for ANC, we will create jobs. We will provide sustainable municipal services. We will create a better living environment. All of them, they've campaigned in various formats. And it became a citizen of this municipality who took a decision with, no, let me go in and empower this one. Let me take my vote and place this particular person or particular movement to this position of responsibility to deliver on their promise. Now they are seated there. Then after, they see themselves being powerful in a way which they want to drive the community. As we are speaking now, all the articulations are about the community. The community that is causing the problem. So now it seems as if we are no longer required within our area. The municipality is chasing us within our area, because if they are putting it like that, then it means now we need to move from where we are to stay somewhere else. So we can't allow that to happen. This is our area. We gave them a responsibility and they have to deliver. If they fail to deliver, let them leave. Let them leave. So going forward with our project goals, we are here now conscientizing the community in exercising our constitutionally protected right of choice to gain access and receive municipal services to satisfy our daily needs as community members. This action plan actually is designed mainly to ensure in exercising that right, that's where we are pushing for an issue, for this municipality to be placed under administration. That's the issue that we are pushing for now. And we would like also the province to take consideration of that. And for that to happen, it has to involve communities. That's where now we came up with an action plan. An action plan that is determined by 4 factors. One factor of it is awareness campaign, where we have a certain effort to educate communities about their constitutionally protected right of choice and how to go about exercising it in the request for demand for change. This is what we are aiming for within our action plan. Bring about awareness to communities as to how they can actually demand change. Because there's nobody who's above a constitutionally protected right. That right, nobody can deviate from. So no law can take your right. So that is why we saw the need of conscientizing our communities to actually understand their right and their responsibilities for exercising such a right. That's how we are saying we're gonna create an awareness campaign, of which is one of such a campaign is this one, where our aim is to share this info towards the greater citizens of our area so they can actually take up this matter. Whenever they require assistance in terms of understanding it, in terms of workshopping it, we are more than available to assist. We have a website page where we normally post all the necessary constitutionally protected rights that communities can actually exercise. So that's the first part of our action plan, where we shall be done through a well-organized interactive media platform that shall convey messages of consciousness. The second part of the action plan is a petition, where we believe with a petition that is been signed by greater communities, it's a petition that will actually justify as to how demanding we are as communities, a petition that we believe can be considered. Since we know very well we do have a law. Each province, I believe it has one. In Mpumalanga, it's called Mpumalanga Provincial Executives Petition Act. It's the Act number 6 of 2000, which has guidelines as to how we can petition the provincial legislature in considering our demand as communities. So that's the avenue where we are aiming to take, because we want to follow all the necessary due processes. We will push the petition to the province, to the provincial legislature. We will give them the necessary 4 weeks to take it up and respond on it afterwards. If still doesn't meet our needs, we will push it also to the National Assembly or NCOP to consider it. If also it doesn't get the necessary attention, that's where now we will exercise our legal route or our legal right, challenging this matter in the courts of South Africa. But at the current stage, we are just aiming to run a petition where we are expecting at least 10,000 signatures. So to ensure with those numbers, they can force to bring change in our area. So this petition, I believe the Treasury will actually describe it further as to what is required of it to ensure that we achieve our project goal. So that's the main matter that we are upon. And the last item on this action plan, it will be a weekly report that shall be issued and be conveyed on media platforms, on our website page, on our Facebook page, and also on our website, of which is currently under construction, where we aim to create further platforms that can be received well by communities, so to ensure that all of us, we are well informed. All of us who took a stand were well informed of the action that we have taken and all the processes that are required there. I believe that's the plan that we are aiming for, And that plan, we believe it can influence change in our area.